Should we start then?
Yeah, go for it.
So Jake, what I would like to start off by asking you is, how do you go home at night? What I mean by that is, mentally, when you arrive home and you close your front door and you shut the outside world out, where are you at mentally?
I think, once I switch off and get in, I'm in a very relaxed place. Like, that's where I'm probably like most at peace, you know, because me and my missus, we're very homey kind of style people. We don't really let too many people in. My circle is quite small. So when I go home after a long day of work or a good result, disappointing result, I'd say that a very, very relaxed place.
Okay, you mentioned there you're quite a close circle of friends and family. Is there a particular reason for that, or?
I don't know. Like, I've had the same friendship group since like school. Obviously, through football, you meet lots of amazing people. Yeah. And you with the football kind of environment, you kind of, once you move on to a different team, you don't really get to see that person again for maybe a summer or ever again. Yeah. I think, I'm not too sure. I think I've just got a really good close-knit group of friends that we kind of just keep it nice and tight.
And are you somebody that when you go home, do you drop all your kind of baggage at the door, or do you talk about that stuff with the missus? And how important is that to you?
I think it's important to vent off a little bit of energy that you have, whether good or bad, because you want to share the good things with my wife, and I want to share the bad things to, you know, to validate my feelings. But I think the first half an hour, you get off what you need to get off, and then it's like, all right, now it's our time to
you slip into
switch off
the domestic life.
That's it, the cleaning, the cooking. Exactly.
And just going back to your early kind of career, how important was it to have good people around you when you first started playing football and building that trust? Because trust underpins our confidence in life. How important was that for you? Was it difficult to know who to trust when you were a young lad and you're getting lots of advice about becoming a football player?
Yeah, I think the only main two people when I was really young was obviously my parents, so mum and dad. They were the main two that I'd always bounce off ideas. I think my dad was always the one that was more realistic and more hard on me. My mum was obviously the more softer approach. But I think having those two around me, and then just coming into my life later in life when I was 15, 16, and then having that connection with my friends as well, giving me that, you know, confidence. But to have that circle around me is so vital. Like, I've experienced so many ups and downs with my football. Like, I've come home from days at training, like, in bits. I've come home happy, I've come home sad, and those are the moments that not everyone sees behind that.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that? So you mentioned the highs and lows of coming home with football, and probably some disappointments and some highs and lows of it all. How did you manage to get through all that?
So I think since being at Hampton, it's been majority of the time high, I'd say. I mean, we've had some disappointing seasons, but I've always enjoyed my football being in this club. Like, it's a really good club, but I've not always enjoyed my football. Like, before I was at clubs, when I was at Yeovil, for example, like, there was some really low moments in that second season where I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I came home one day after training, broke into tears because I just hated it so much. Like, the environment that was created there, and the environment that it was just a really toxic place.
Yeah, that's a shame when to listen to that, because it should be something you want to enjoy, playing your football and being a good club, and it's all it takes is one or two disruptive people in an organisation or a team or in a club, and it can upset the whole balance of the team. Yeah. So how did you get through that?
I think, first of all, talking about it, I think that's always the most important thing.
So you went home and talked to your missus?
Yeah, my missus was there on the sofa, came in, she was like, Jake, what's wrong? And I'm like, just went, like, and then you kind of break down. I think I'm always trying to break down what's gone on. Yep. And then you can look at the approach that you're going to take next. She was strong as anything for me. My parents weren't around at the time in terms of location, but they're always down on the other end of the phone. giving support. I think in that case, I think it was just about doing it for myself, but at the end, like taking all the noise away and just focusing on myself and like, why do I play football? Why do I enjoy it? What at the end of the season, what do I need to do to put myself in a strong position?
Do you think you kind of fell out of love with the game?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So how did you get back into falling in love with football again?
Well, so when I was at Yeovil, we were in League Two, so we were a full-time team. And then that summer, there was a lot going on. Like my agent messing me around, and maybe I wasn't pushing it as much as I could have because maybe I just didn't want it. To go back to that full-time environment. So I kind of end up at Woking a few games into the season, and then that was a part-time, and then came here. So going back to your question, I think that the way I fell back in love was not being consumed by football, because when you're in that full-time environment, it's a lot. Like it can be a lot, when you sometimes it is hard. Like can be quite bad after a game. Like if we lose, I can't just switch off. Like,
it hits you hard.
It hits me hard. It hits me hard. Like even at the weekend, we've been on a 17 game unbeaten run, and then we lose, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like, and I'm like, I feel myself on a Sunday like, oh come on, like this sucks. But it's over the years I've got better and better at dealing with it. But
I suppose for you as well. Sorry, as I say, as a captain as well, you probably do you think you feel it more, or is it just still your personality?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely my personality. But I do feel that now being captain, I feel like more responsibility of, when we lose, I think, okay, what could I have done? What could I have said? Am I leading by example? I analyse my game much more than I used to, 100%.
Yeah, I've watched you over the last season, and you're right. Your style of captaincy is to lead by example.
Yeah.
So you set the example and you lead by that example. You're not a shouty captain like some people are. You don't have to be. And if you've got that ability to lead by that example on the pitch, and others will follow you, then it's a great attribute to have.
Yeah, I think I've always thought about this, and sometimes I get asked to say things, or sometimes I think, okay, maybe I should speak up a bit. But previous me wouldn't speak up all the time and say, if I didn't feel the need to speak up. So I always think that I want to be true to myself in terms of if I randomly start shouting and being like, well, who's this side of Jay? Like, who's this? Like, then people aren't going to respect that and respond well to that.
Yeah.
So I think that just carrying on doing what I'm doing and then picking my moments when to say like, right, this or that, because sometimes you need to say stuff.
Then again, I suppose if you, in my eyes, if you shout all the time, then you just shout all the time. You've got nowhere else to go. Yeah. But if you're somebody that shouts for effect when you need it, as you probably do, then it carries more weight. I think.
Absolutely. I think, like Mel, for example, he's not a big screamer and shouter, but when he does, or when he feels a need, like there's been a few times where he's not happy, then we're all like, whoa, okay. And that maybe I would have a similar effect if I was to like express that.
Okay. And your missus, when you were younger, did she follow you around with football? Or?
Yeah, so she...
did you move around sort of the UK?
Yeah, so I was at Crystal Palace when I was younger in the youth team, and she then... I was living in London in a digs with a family, and she then moved to uni in London to be closer to me so I could see her more often. And then I got a loan from Crystal Palace to go Hartlepool. In fact.
Oh wow.
So so I went on loan for 7 months.
Of course, you're playing this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I went on loan for 7 months to Hartlepool, and she's like, "Well,
nice.
I've just gone to London." Then when she finished uni, we moved down to Yeovil for 2 years.
Right.
And then I signed back a part-time team, so I lived back at home, and we moved in together as well.
So she's committed a lot to you.
Absolutely.
And do you think that families, sometimes people forget about the families, especially like in the Premier League as well, the families that are following the international players around, there's that commitment there from the families to go with their loved one and support them.
Like without her, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as seamless or easy for me to settle in at clubs. Like when I was at Hartlepool, she would come and spend her Christmas with me, like 2 weeks in a empty flat, just like a 5-bedroom flat. It was just us two in there, and it sounds lovely, but it really wasn't that great. And spend Christmas with me, and then all of her holidays, like, and she weren't at uni, spend it with me, and just having like that support was unbelievable, really.
Yeah. And what about your influence with the guys around the changing room? Do you know all the guys really well, and can you pick up if someone comes into the changing room, it's a very close environment, you know them very well? Can you pick up if someone's down or someone's not quite right on match day?
Yeah. I think we're a really close group. Like, I've been with, just looking around the changing room, they're not in it. I've been with like Rue, Sam, Dino, Jules. I'm sorry if I missed a couple off, but those guys for 4 or 5 years now, which is pretty crazy to think at this level. That's quite rare.
Yeah.
And we've kind of built that relationship now that, like, we're very, very close. And then if anyone does come into the change room, and you get to know, in the environment we've created, it's a very open, so everyone can express themselves. So equally they can express themselves, but also equally you can notice then when they're down as well.
Yeah.
And I think that we're the type of group that if someone is down, that we can go to them and put them to the side and say, like, what's going on?
Well, it's go over your head, yeah. Okay. And when you're on the pitch, you must have the ability, because coming from the Special Forces, we have the ability to regulate our emotions pretty quick. You can down-regulate, you go from up here to down there. So when you're playing a game and you're 1-0 down and you get a goal back and it's 1-0, within a minute they get another goal and it's 2-1 and you're a goal down all of a sudden. How do you deal with that as a captain, and how do you get that across to the guys?
I think the first thing I'd always look to is looking at where the heads go.
Yeah.
Because when we say we can see the goal, I'll always look at the heads. And if they drop, then I would most definitely try and encourage, pick them up, right, let's get it. I'll always get the heads and then the ball.
Yeah.
I'm always the first, just the thing I do, I always go, right, Adam, pass the ball.
Yeah.
He usually booms out of the pitch in anger and I have to go get it. But that would be the first two things I'd do. And I think just encouraging the group, because at the end of the day, we've come from a lot of games this season from 1-0 down, 2-0 down, or we've been 2-0 up and we've lost the lead to 2-2, and then we've gone on and won the game, last minute goals. I think we've got a really strong mentality. And Mel always says, like, in the first minute, we've not lost the game, whereas either we've not won the game as well. So I think trying to be level-headed and really consistent throughout that 90 minutes is really important.
And when you come back in the changing room, and if you've lost, what's the mood like in here? Because I tell you why I'm asking this is because I used to work alongside a Premier League football club and travel all around the world with them. And I remember being away to play in a Champions League game once, and I was in the changing room and we'd lost, and the players were all laughing and joking. And the manager came in, who was an Italian manager I might add at the time. He came in and he went absolutely nuts at the players because they were laughing and joking. And he said, in my day, we'd be in here fighting each other and wanting to know and accusing each other of letting each other down. And he just lost it.
Yeah.
And I had big respect for him then. All the players just went, done.
Yeah.
And listened to him, and they're all laughing and joking. It soon stopped, believe me. And he made his point. And that's something that I think sometimes I look around at people and they laugh and joke about loss, and there's a time and a place to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, that was since I've been at the club, that's never happened. I think after a loss, we're not like, we haven't got the aggressive types in terms of like after a game at each other's throats, pinning people up against the wall, throwing punches. That's not our type, and that's not our style. That's not the environment that we've created. Because it's just not professional. There can be a time and a place for it, but it's not something that we really do. I think after a loss, there's can be bickerings, there can be, but we're quite a quiet group after a loss. We're all processing it, because we're not going to be ones where we're just pointing fingers, saying, "What are you doing? Why'd you do that?" Because at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. No one goes out there to make a mistake. And I think that we're quite a quiet group, and then we'll analyse that through the game, through the week. But I think sometimes it's like easy to talk after a game and say like, "Sorry, lad," or no, not sorry, but like, "Why did we do this? Why did we do that?" Because the talking should have been done out on the pitch.
It's too late back.
It's too late. It's too late in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So
It's all about managing your emotions again. Down regulating your emotions. You've got to talk about it and get out in the open, but not lose your head over it.
No, I think especially on the Monday or the Tuesdays, analyse the games. Like a lot of us do clips with Mel now when we're at home over Zoom calls, and I think that is a great way of analysing it, and something that I'm not too sure how many clubs are doing at this level. Yeah. I think that gives us a good, extra 5% in the week.
Okay. And what advice would you give to a young Jake? If you could look back and give advice to yourself, what would it look like? And what's changed, you think, in the football world since you started playing?
Okay, so what advice would I give myself? I think that maybe to be more confident. I think that throughout my life, I don't think I've been as confident as maybe I should have.
You mean not believed in yourself?
Yeah, I think I could have more belief in myself, and I think that maybe people that have been around me for a few years that would probably agree with that. And even to this day, I think I still need to show more belief in myself. I think that's one thing I need to do. Like go out onto that pitch and be like, right, I'm gonna absolutely smash it today. Like I think I need to have more self-belief. So I think that, and always enjoy my football, because I think you can get consumed in this life of playing football, and yes, it's an unbelievable job and you could take it for granted, but I think that you need to try and enjoy every single moment of it. Yeah. And what was your second question? What advice would you give a young you, and what's changed? What's changed? It's probably the technologies have changed, I think the styles have changed. Like I think that the way people view the game is very different now. I think it's more like statistical now, whereas before I think it was more about how much you want it and about the intensity you play at and the tackling and all that. I think it's just more statistical now. I don't know how much has changed. Maybe one thing I do know that's changed is that the level has always improved year on year. So I would always say that this, from when I first played non-league, National League South to now, the difference is like night and day. Interesting. Night and day. Because the academy players get better and better and better, and then they filter down the leagues. So like, for example, we've got JT here, who's played in the Premier League, and now he's playing National League South. Like, how often did that happen back in the day? Okay. Maybe 5 years ago, not back in the day. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Jake. VAR. Oh, okay. What's your spin on VAR? I think that they brought it in to kind of do the clear and obvious errors, right? I think now they're trying to make the game too perfect. Like, the goal line technology, great. The offsides, great. Yeah. I think that's where you draw the line. Yeah. Because then it becomes too much of an opinion. And that's when, because one day one referee could think one thing, another day one referee could think another thing. I don't think you can have two opinions to a decision. And I'll be really honest with you. I watch football and I listen to the pundits on TV programs and that kind of stuff, and I struggle to understand why. And I might be wrong. I'm not a footballer. You better tell me. So, player goes into the box. Defender's shoelace brushes his leg, and he goes down like he's been shot by a sniper, Jake. Yeah. And then the guy in the commentary box or in the studio is saying, well, actually, there's minimal contact there, but he's entitled. I heard a guy say he's entitled to go down, and he's one inside a penalty. And that to me is like, hang on a minute, you're setting an example for young kids, and you can cheat because that's what they're doing. Yeah, they're conning the ref. And then you can get ahead in life. Yeah. And that for me is socially is not the right thing to do. No. That's the drama I had with it. Yeah. What do you think? Oh, I totally agree, because there's ones where you're like looking at it thinking, right, well, he's obviously left his leg in there. He's dangled his leg, and then there's impact. But is the impact forced from the defender putting his leg there or the striker putting his leg there? It's not a natural movement. Yeah. I would just have, personally, have goal line technology offsides like they have in Champions League. Yeah. Because it's a much better system they have in the Champions League, and the rest, bin it. Yeah. And also, we spoke about kind of regulating your emotions. The crowd are having to regulate their emotions because they don't know if it's a goal or if it's offside or what. So it's totally ruins the sport. I think what's the best thing about football? Scoring goals. Yeah. And now players and fans can't even celebrate. Players are going off celebrating and doing all their normal thing, and then they just get not embarrassed, but it's like, I've just done backflips to score a goal, and then 2 minutes later,
disallowed by a shoelace.
Exactly, and I think that offside them fair enough, but if they're sometimes they pull back decisions from 30 seconds, 40 seconds, or different phases of play, which is just doesn't feel right.
And I get that, you know, football is a business, and it's about winning and generating and making money. But when there's a social responsibility to youngsters as well, I think.
Yeah.
And it's something that people don't look at, and it's something I'm quite passionate about, is that honesty and integrity in any walk of life.
Yeah.
And particularly in especially coming from an organisation, the Special Forces where I came from, you know, it's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I think in sport, right, I think that there's all players in general, in the sport across, I think players are always trying to look for that extra edge. Always. Always. Yeah. And I think there is a fine line between cheating and trying to find that extra edge. I think it's hard to say.
Pundits are the worst ones. I watch them. I'm not going to name any names, but I'd love to get them down here and sit them where you are and say to them, look, what is going on?
I know.
You've got a social responsibility, because they're poacher turned gamekeeper in my eyes. And they sit there in the box, and I know I'm not a football player, but I am a real person.
It is tough. It is tough. From a player's point of view, I think, you know, like, there's so much riding on that 3 points. And like, if you can gain that extra edge, like,
you're going to do it.
You probably would do it. Like, you know, like, that could be the difference between staying in the Premier League and being in the Championship. And I think that ultimately, I think to get it out of the game, it comes from the media. It comes from the FA. It comes from them above to stamp it out, because otherwise players will just keep taking advantage. I mean,
do you think they have diving practice and training?
No. I mean, if ever they do, I need to go and do it. Because honestly, but we played Oldham here in the FA Cup. I think it was the first round, and we were 3-2 down, literally like 2 minutes to go, and I've gone into the box and I've just taken a dive, and it was on TV, and I've just laughed. I started laughing, and I looked at the ref, and I started laughing, and he walked over, yellow card, and I just.
Did you booked you?
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even appeal it. I just started laughing because I was like, "What am I doing?" It was desperate. You know, there were 2 leagues above us. It was a desperate attempt. And that was literally it. Like that. That could be the chance for us to get a replay against a League 2 side, and that's like, sometimes people can forget about that. Like, and obviously it was a desperate attempt for myself, and if I was to had the opportunity again, I probably wouldn't do it. Because it was a rubbish attempt. But like, these are the small margins that maybe, just maybe, that referee could have given it. We could have 3-3. How much money would that have got for the club? Small things like that.
Okay. What do you think about the standard refereeing in this kind of league? I mean, I've watched. Have I put you on the spot even more?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there is some good refs out there. I think the best referees we've had this year have been the women referees.
I've noticed that actually. They've had quite a few on games.
They've been like firm, and I think they've been fair, and like they've actually you've been able to talk to them. I feel like a lot of referees in this league
don't talk beyond the referee.
Yes, you can't really talk. You can't really talk to them. I know there's one ref that I get on really well with in this league. I can't remember his name though.
But there's a mutual professional respect.
Yes, absolutely.
And the reason why I was asking about that is because, you know, mentally again, or emotionally, when you're playing a game and a decision goes against you, how do you deal with that when you know the referee's got it wrong? Because there is no VAR. We're kind of going full circle here, good old VAR.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with that when you just got to pull your socks up and get on with it, I suppose?
Yeah, I think
you carry it on. It's
a tough one, but I think as a role of being captain, I think that's how I speak to the referee, because I'm expecting a lot of. If I wasn't the captain, I'd probably go, "Ref, what are you doing?" But I have to approach that differently, because maybe a couple of our players might go have a go, a little pop at him and say, "What's going on?" And then it's then my responsibility to have a different voice for the referee, a voice of reason. I say, "Ref, I understand you might not have seen that one right, but next one, maybe that could have been the decision." Or like it's trying to plant little seeds in their head that maybe the next decision they make.
Don't say too much.
There we go. But like trying to just get them on your side. And trying to just speak to them as a human and not just like berate them the whole game. But I think that you need to try and just speak to them normally and they might just respond better to that.
I think that's a great example because I mean I've got friends that are football coaches that coach little kids down the park, and you go down there and you know the abuse that some of the referees and officials get from the parents as well. And I mean, how do you get rid of that?
Premier League, the Premier League, because the cameras go straight on the players.
Yeah,
and we're not stupid. Like we can lip read some of the things, and some of it's like horrendous.
Not like in rugby. If you abuse the referee in rugby,
I know they're 2 times bigger. They're 2 times bigger than those football players. I think it would be so hard to stamp it out now unless they're just so strict. But in terms of throwing yellow and red cards, like
no one on the pitch.
Exactly. But I do think what they have done well this year is kicking the ball away. Yes, there's been some inconsistencies in our league, and I think it'll be across every league in the country. But you do see a lot of the ball being left a lot more than it used to. So that's been a positive, I think, this season because like we can restart the game quicker. And sometimes they do book the players and we've had players booked for kicking the ball away, so I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So they have brought some good things into this year.
Good stuff. Jake, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you
very
much. I'll let you off the hook now.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
No, I appreciate that. That's good.